What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the video. Hope y'all are doing well. We got another K-Dog video uploaded. We have the new updates broken. On top of that, Clix with his new trio was absolutely broken. So we're gonna see what K-Dog has to say, as well as we have some good points I'll bring up from what K-Dog is saying. So make sure y'all subscribe to me. Make sure y'all subscribe to K-Dog. Enjoy the video.
Guys, if you guys want to support me even more, the best way to do so is by using code K-Dog in the Fortnite item shop. Follow me on my Twitch if you guys want to watch any of these tournaments with me. Without further ado though, let's get straight into this video and go over everybody that was able to qualify for the Eval Cup finals. Alright, so actually I want to
Alright, hold on. Let me hold on. And hold on. You know what? Let it keep playing.
start off with the new update that we saw this morning. So this update gave us a new pistol, a new sniper, and a jetpack. Now, I'm just going to be honest, the pistol and the sniper haven't necessarily been too effective in competitive yet, but something that has been so fun to watch.
Wait, why? Wait, I'm confused why they added so many new weapons. Because isn't this like a month long?
Have been absolutely disgusting with it. They've been able to wipe full trios by themselves, and they literally make it look like one of the most broken items in the game compared to some other people who literally don't even know how to use it. So if I were you, I would get in the lab.
We can't just ignore what Pollo just did, though. Like, he dead just flew up Noah W plays, which he isn't that bad of a player. I just one-pumped him like it was nothing.
Make it look like one of the most broken items in the game compared to some other people.
Ew,
Ew, literally don't even know how to use it. So if I were you, I would get in the lab, start practicing with this jetpack, because if you can be one of the people to master this item early, you are going to be at such a high advantage. The sniper, I've honestly don't even think I've seen it in competitive yet, and then the pistol is really not the best. Let's move on to how the Eval Cup went now, though. Alright, so in first place of the opens, the trio that seems to dominate all of these Eval Cups, but has kind of been slowing down recently, we have the team that just got back together after taking a week break and playing with Peterbot of.
That's actually crazy. First place in the FNCS Showdown, 9K, and they won pretty far. Like if we look at this, like 392, Peterbot, Clix, and Eomzo. I'm not gonna lie, that's a fire trio. I'm gonna give it a butt. That's a fire trio. Then also we have Shadow, Virgo, and Craze. That's fire. Muzz, Rapid, and Booga in third. That's a good trio as well. Scare, Edgy, and Chance. Brazy. Damn. That's actually a crazy leaderboard.
Clix, Eomzo, and Higgs. Higgs is officially back on the trio. For everybody that was wondering or worried that like maybe Clix and Eomzo would drop Higgs, no, I already told you guys, no way that was gonna happen. They finished with 326 points and got the most amount of elims, getting 119 elims as well. Second place was the land qualified trio of Visuals, Braids, and Diminished on 320. Third place was Serum. Fourth place was actually an EU trio of Scroll, Hellfire, and Zane. Fifth place was Slep. Sixth place was the brand new trio of Muzz, Rapid, and Booga. For everybody that was just saying like, oh, these guys are only going to be playing together for 1 week, I told you guys that this is an official team that is trying out for FNCS, and they also played this tournament as well. Seventh place was a brand new fill trio for this week of Skittles, Ritual, and Pollo. All I'm gonna say is the writing has been on the walls for us to get a very final week of a Ritual, Pollo, and Peterbot trio, or maybe a Peterbot, Pollo, and Cold trio, because we also saw Cold tweet out something yesterday like the city needs saving or something.
Wow, I haven't heard of bro and OD long, and this is the first thing I hear of him.
Something, but all I'm gonna say is that in the very final week we get a Peterbot, Pollo, and Ritual trio. I was the first one to call it. If you're wondering where Peterbot finished in this tournament, he did not end up playing. He is still currently on vacation, so this was another Eval Cup without any Peterbot. Eighth place though was Takiyeshu and Vert. Ninth was Rexo, and then rounding out the top 10 was Joji, Brycex, and Osit. I think this is another brand new trio that is potentially trying out. Some other big names we had is like Shadow, Craze, and Sphinx in 13th. This is definitely just a field trio for this week though, as we know Craze, Virgo, and Shadow literally just placed second place in the last Cash Cup, and I think these guys are also sticking together going into next season now as well. We also had like another brand new trio of Bucky, Dukes, and Okus in 17th.
Hey, there we go. I've been waiting to hear some Bucky placements, bro. Let's
18th place was G Money, Threats, and Rise. All of those trios that I just listed are official teams that are trying out for FNCS. We had another land quality team in 22nd place of Reed Cooper and Curly, and that was about it for all of the big names that were able to qualify. We didn't really have any super big names that were not able to make it into the finals, so let's just move on to
Oh,
how
nice.
the
Okay, that's
finals
good.
went now. Now in the finals, we got to see the meta on full display from the trio of Skittles, Ritual, and Poyo. These guys just had triple jetpacks with a lightsaber almost every single game, and they're able to win the very first game of the day, getting a 16 elimination win.
That's crazy. They got a 6th place 7th, 10th place 8, and a 2nd place 7. So they only got 1 win. Okay.
And they were also the second most consistent team of the day, because after that they got a 7 elimination 6th, 8 elimination 10th, and a 7 elimination 2nd in the very final game. Poyo is definitely the best jetpack sucker right now, and this
leaking tech
is 100% going to be the meta for the rest of the season for anybody that is able to get their hands on both of these items at the same time. Second place though, the trio that was the most consistent in finals but were only able to get 1 win was Clix, Eomzo, and Higgs. They won game 3.
Oh wow. So they're very consistent as well. 3rd place 11th, 3rd place 7th, 1st place right there in the 3rd game, and then 6th place 7th.
Today, getting a 6 elimination win, and their other games were an 11 elimination 3rd, 7 elimination 3rd, and a 7 elimination 6th. So they finished with the 2nd most elims, only behind Poyo's trio.
Nice.
Pretty solid performance from them all around either way though. I think they are definitely either the 1st or 2nd best team this season, comparative to a team that we will talk about later on EU. 3rd place was the brand new trio of G-Money, Threats, and Rise. They won the very final game today, getting a 13 elimination win and finished this tournament with the 3rd most elims. Super happy that these guys look like they have been progressing slowly as a trio now over the past couple of tournaments. I really want this team to work out. I really do love all 3 of these guys as players. And then finally in 4th place, the team that won game 2, getting a 10 elimination win, was Golden, Void, and Ozone.
So don't know who those are, but shout out them.
The leaderboard is like 5th place of Shadow, Sphinx, and Craze. Remember, the rest of the leaderboard is just based on how many elims these trios got. So there was a 3-way tie between 5th all the way down to 8th. In 6th place, we had Mason, Kyxon, and Chimp. 7th place was the brand new trio of Bucky, Dukes, and Otis.
They were close to winning all of them.
One good game, and that was their very final game where they picked up a 15 elimination 3rd. I think this is also going to be a West trio. So hopefully they're able to build up some chemistry over this next final week of tournaments and get ready to play on West next season. 8th place was Takayeshu and Vert. 9th place was Reed Cooper and Curly. And then rounding out the top 10 was Anax, Epicwell, and Z-Link. We only had a couple of big names just outside that top 10, like 16th place of Muzzrapid and Booga. They only had 2 good games today, getting a 7 elimination 3rd and a 3 elimination 8th. Would I be super worried about this team though? No, not necessarily. We know this is just an eval cup at the end of the day. I still do think that the potential is very high on this trio to be a top 5 team on the region and qualify for LAN. But those were pretty much all of the big name trios. Let's actually move on to how EU went now. Now in EU, we got to see a lot of different exciting things and maybe some things you wouldn't say as are exciting if you're a fan of certain players on a trio. But starting off with everybody that was able to qualify. In 1st place, we had the brand new trio of Rax, Yanis, and Kiduo. Now, yes, these guys are officially trying out together. Originally, the trio was supposed to be Rax, Yanis, and Shark, but then they decided to go their separate ways, and they picked up Kiduo, and they were able to get 1st place in opens by almost...
I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. When he talks about EU, it's like a foreign language to me, so I like hone down and listen to what I'm hearing.
2nd place is a trio, but I think some of you guys might be surprised that they ended up sticking together after how bad they did in yesterday's Cash Cup finals of Vidil, Cringe, and Volko.
Oh, nice. I know this.
Won 3 of their 7 matches, though. Happy to see these guys end up sticking together, as that the main bad part of their performance was because they were contested. We didn't even really get to see these guys play in endgame. 3rd place was Odin. 4th was Maxi King, Props, and Anna. I really want Maxi King to be able to find a good trio, because literally every time he was playing with Rezon and Chap, that dude was absolutely insane. He's one of the most underrated players I have seen this entire season. 5th place was Queasy, Shark, and Vino. Now it looks like we might be getting the Vino and Shark connection again. They haven't
actually a pretty good trio.
Officially confirmed yet who they're actually going to be playing the last Cash Cup of the season with yet, but in this eval cup it was him, Queasy, and Shark. 6th place was the FNCS champions of Venya, Pixie, and Marius. 7th was Twek. 8th was Setiari and Cammy. 9th was TD, Moneymaker, and Fanayan, a potential brand new trio as well. We know TD was just playing last week with Margle and Turtle, but then of course they all had that drama and beef with each other, so they ended up splitting, and he decided to play with Moneymaker and Fanayan. And then rounding out the top 10 was Ken Rop. Some other big names we had was like like 18th place of Mongrel, Turtle, and Upple.
Not
now,
bad.
there's not
Okay,
any 100%
that's good to see from
confirmation
Mongrel.
on if these guys are going to be an official team. This is just a trio that is, of course, trying out. Mongrel and Turtle seem to basically want to stick together no matter what, and now they're just kind of cycling through new options for their third. And for this week, they decided to pick up Upple. We all know that Upple was just on a trio with Panzer and Thomas HD, but of course.
Ooh. I don't know if. I feel like switching for Mongrel is kind of crazy. Thinking about Panzer and Thomas HD, because those are really, really good players. Ooh, let me know in the comments. What would you switch to a Mongrel's team if your last team was Panzer and Thomas HD? I think personally, I don't think I would, because like
Things didn't work out between them.
crazy.
They all decided to split up, and now Upple and Panzer
I guess they
are
also
kind of
had
like
split
ping-ponging
up
between different trios, trying to find a team they can stick with. And this week, Upple decided to try out with Mongrel and Turtle. Now, honestly, I really like this decision from Mongrel and Turtle. Upple was playing a support fragging role to Thomas HD when he was on that trio before, but then all the way before that, back when he was playing with his previous trio, and I'm pretty sure finished top 10 in grand finals, he was IGLing that entire time.
That's
Upple
crazy.
now has developed into a player that can play both as a frag and an IGL at the same time, which is very similar to what Turtle wants to do as well. But I think a lot of you guys, and especially if you're watching the tournament, you probably agree that as of right now, especially in the opens, Upple was a better IGL than what Turtle was actually doing for them. And I think Turtle is going to realize that his role as just a pure fragger is so much more valuable in this current trio ecosystem than him trying to convert himself into an IGL.
I love being a fragger. It's my favorite part of the game. I can't be an
IGL
IGL. I'm just too
for
slow.
the next upcoming weeks, but I did like the performance that they put on in the opens. We also had like Pink, Nebs, and Kuro in 21st, drew like CD and Skavi in 30th, and that was about it for all of the big names that were able to qualify. So we did have some big names not be able to qualify, like 38th of Pigstar Mandemus. Once again, this has just not been their season at all. We also had like the new trio of iDrop Sky and Thomas HD and
wow.
49th. Another team that also hasn't been super impressive since they formed together. And then the big one in 72nd place of Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezar.
Double wow. Oh my days.
They only finished with 187 points, weren't able to win any games today, and got 48 total elims. Evo Cups are a very difficult tournament to qualify for though, since you do only get to play like a max of 7 games in this tournament. But this is now back-to-back bad performances from these guys, from finishing almost dead last in the Cash Cup finals to not being able to qualify for the Evo Cup now as well. I'm not one of those people that's ready to say like, oh, this is all Mr. Savage's fault because when Chap and Rezon were playing with Maxi, they look so much better than this. But this team obviously does have very clear and obvious flaws that they need to fix and they need to improve. If they
By the way, this has nothing to do with the video. That guy threw a chug jug and the person that came up took the chug jug. Hold on. As you're listening to this info, look at what he does.
Any games today and got 48 total elims. Evo Cups are a very difficult tournament to qualify for though, since you do only get to play like a max of 7 games in this tournament. But this is now back-to-back bad performances from these guys, from finishing almost dead last in the Cash Cup finals to not
It's
being
coming
able to
up. It's
qualify
coming
for
up.
the Evo Cup now as well. I'm not one of those people that's ready to say like, oh, this is all Mr. Savage's fault because when Chap and Rezon were playing with Maxi, they look so much better than this. But this team obviously does have very clear
Guy comes up and stole it.
flaws that they need to fix and they need to improve if they want to stick together as a trio and still have the potential chance to qualify for globals. Do I think they're still capable of that? 100%. I saw some people try to suggest that like they shouldn't even play the last Cash Cup of the season together and try to just reset the vibes before next season. And I completely disagree with that. I think they need to get as much practice as they possibly can together. They do not have the luxury of being one of those trios that can just like play with so many other teams for this season and then come back together next season. These guys all need to be locked in and fully grinding with each other. I still though, once again, think that the only way that these guys split up is if Chap gets a better opportunity from a different trio. I don't want to necessarily fully rule out that possibility either, because he has still been looking absolutely insane this season, but the vibes are still super good for this trio, and I hope they're able
27
to make
damage
work. Let's actually move on to how the finals went now though. Knowing the finals, this tournament was just absolutely ran by 2 separate teams. The first one in first place, a trio that has been so dominant this season and arguably the best trio of this entire season so far, of Wheat, Nefrizzi, and Ilusha.
I've been seeing them on the freaking leaderboard, bro. I have been seeing them on the freaking leaderboard. Kudos to them, bro. That's crazy. Wow, this is sync too. 8 first, 11 first, 9 seventh, and a 15 seventh. That's crazy.
They won
dude.
2 out of the 4 games today and also finished with far and away the most elims in this entire tournament.
First shooting
getting
teammate.
43 total elims, and were the most consistent team as well, getting an average placement of 4.0. Their match history today was an 8 elimination win, 11 elimination win, 9 elimination 7th, and a 15
Marius with the
7th
saturation.
in the very final game. If you're wondering how this trio has gone from getting first place week 1 in the Cash Cup, second place last week, and now winning 2 out of 4 games in the Evo Cup, the answer is pretty simple. They have a forecast ability, and they are the only team on the entire map as well, I'm pretty sure, that gets to use this ability, and they have
insane.
it fully uncontested as well. Now, I don't want to like fully discredit them
crazy.
because we don't see anybody like on NA that's been as dominant with this ability as this trio has been for this season. So even though the forecast could be labeled as like a no skill item, which I don't think it is like the hardest barrier to entry item in the game, I think you just have to be a
I mean, he could have gotten
trio
contested
to
and he
be
didn't.
as good as they have been with
Nothing
it.
wrong with that.
But also, this isn't a trio that I would probably rank like top 5 in the world going into next season, just because I don't know how good they're actually going to look with no forecast next season. They were able to win game 1 and 2 today though, and then the trio that won game 3 and 4 was Venya, Pixie, and Marius.
Makes sense. I mean, I feel like sometimes NA is very like, you don't know what's gonna happen, you don't know who's gonna win. EU, you can tell. I feel like with EU, you can, nothing's a shock.
Now, they started off this tournament a little bit rough, getting a 1 elimination 16th, 4 elimination 11th, then closed it off with 2 high ground games, getting an 11 elimination win and a 8 elimination win. Pretty much the Venya, Pixie, and Marius classic. Get on high ground in endgame and win the game from there. That was their strategy.
That's what they just
led
did.
them to being able to win grand finals. That's how they win eval games so consistently
bans.
as well. They haven't necessarily had like the craziest placement season wise in terms of the cash cups, but they are still one of the best trios in the entire world, and they did prove it today. Third place was Snazy, Trix, and Vekgo. Fourth place was a brand new trio that I'm really intrigued about of Comeback, Yapko, and Blaha. Now, we all know that Yapko went to NA for 2 seasons. Everybody on NA thought he was like one of the best players in the world. Goes back to EU now and is playing with Comeback and Blaha. Their best games today was like a 9 elimination 3rd and a 7 elimination 5th, so pretty decent performance from them. 5th place was Huddy, Topko, and Fishy. 6th place was Pink Nebs and Kiro. 7th was TD, Moneymaker, and Fanayan. 8th was Noyan. 9th was Focus, Tris, and Vasquez. And then rounding out the top 10 was Maxi King. Not too many trios in that top 10 that I wanted to super highlight. I do really like the Huddy, Topko, and Fishy trio though. Fishy has been one of the most insane solo players. He was just never able to really find a trio that is able to speak the same language as him. But his potential is so high, and I'm very excited to see what he can do. Some of the big names outside of that top 10 was like Rax, Yanis, and Kidduo in 12th. They only had 2 games inside the top 10, so not necessarily like the most like mind-blowing performance from them. You could probably say the same for Queasy, Shark, and Vino in 13th. Shark has also already tweeted out that he is looking for a new trio for the rest of the tournaments this season and going forwards as well.
I'm not gonna lie, like, to me personally, I wouldn't get how you wouldn't want to be with Vino and Queasy. You feel me? Like, that's such a good trio. Like, I would personally want to like work out the problem. I don't know.
So we are not going to get to see a Queasy, Vino, and Shark reuniting for probably the rest of the year. 14th place was Video, Cringe, and Volko. They had some decent games today, but then ended up getting contested in their very final game by Moneymaker and ended up dying to him. I think this team did show a little bit of potential that they could potentially be a pretty solid trio, but also they didn't highlight like anything too crazy. And then unfortunately, Mongrel, Turtle, and Upple finished in 26th.
Oh my. Oh, that's terrible. Oh. Goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm assuming before K-Dog says it, he may be contested. Because damn. 29th, practically last place, 0 elims. 30th place, 1 elim. 26th place, 0 elims. 13th place, 3 elims. Damn.
6th place today. They ended up getting contested off spawn in the finals, died 3 games, and then were able to get a 3 elimination 13th in their very final one. And unfortunately, we've already seen Upple tweet out, need one for FNCS Showdown with Focus. So it looks like the Upple, Mongrel, and Turtle trio has already came to an end after
Wow.
just one tournament together.
Wow. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Being contested sucks. I don't know who contested him, but like, bro, damn, they were
Really unfortunate
locked,
because
bro.
I
They
thought
were
Upple was a
locked.
super good potential third for them, but these guys look like they have already split up. Let's move on to the final kin stats now. So in 10th place, getting 3,065 damage was
Golly.
9th was Nefrizzi, 8th was Blaha, 7th was Skavi, 6th was Vino.
These
5th
damages
was
make
Vinci,
so
6th
much
was
sense,
Pixie,
though.
4th was Ilusha, 3rd was Lurix, and then in 1st place, getting 4,518 damage.
That's a
a
lot.
1.82 damage ratio was none other than Fishy. Other than that, though, remember, subscribe to the channel, guys.
Yeah, make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all use my credit code 87 Matrix. Tap into the Twitch if y'all want to. Mongo Live, bro. Mongo being contested is crazy to me. Have a good one. God bless.